Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you tonight. Adani Group stocks remain under pressure. Index provider MSCI cuts the free float on some group stocks. Moody's downgrades its outlook on 4 Adani Group stocks to negative, retains the stable rating on 4 others. The group has lost nearly 10 lakh crores in investor wealth since the Hindenburg report. The Supreme Court takes up the Adani case and red flags the loss of lakhs of crores of investor wealth, directs market regulator SEBI to submit a status report on the framework to ring-fence investors from shocks to share prices. The government considers handing over the probe into the alleged abuse of the electric vehicle subsidies to an investigating agency. Sources say the government is seeking legal opinion over its probe into 12 EV makers allegedly abusing the FAME subsidies. India's Mines Ministry announces the discovery of 5.9 million tons of lithium in Jammu and Kashmir. This is India's first major discovery of the rare earth mineral widely used in electric vehicles. M&M's Q3 earnings beat estimates on revenue, EBITDA and margin. Net profit comes in below expectations due to an exceptional loss of 630 crores. The company claims to have gained 41% share in the agri segment and over 20% in the SUV segment. Respite for some digital lenders, the government issues orders to revoke bans on select fintech companies. The IT Ministry had banned 94 loan apps based on requests from the Home Ministry over allegations of money laundering and links to China. The Central Drug Regulator issues show-cause notices to 20 online pharmacies on the 8th of February for allegedly selling medicines without prescriptions. Sources say companies were given 2 days to respond. The GST Council meeting on the 18th of February is likely to take up the 28% tax on cement. The Council is likely to also take up the report in appellate tribunals and taxing online games, races, courts and casinos. Pressure mounts on Turkey's president as the death toll due to the devastating earthquake in the region crosses 21,000. US suspends the sanctions imposed on Syria for 6 months, allowing international aid to reach the victims. No new tax, interest-free loans for farmers, free electricity up to 100 units, free scooty for meritorious girl students. The Rajasthan government presents its last budget before the state elections, but a faux pas by Chief Minister Gehlot, who started reading from last year's budget speech, sparks a ruckus in the assembly. Well, let's start with the market action for the day. The Sensex and the Nifty ending a volatile trading week, but just about with marginal losses. So we saw the Sensex losing over 100 points today. Mid-caps managed to outperform for the week with gains of 2%. Pharma, real estate and media stocks were the top gainers. Metal stocks were the top losers this week. Well, the big story continues to be the Adani Group. Adani Group stocks remain under pressure. This after the MSCI cut the weightage of Adani stocks on the index. Now, the group has lost nearly 10 lakh crore rupees in market cap since US-based short seller Hindenburg raised several red flags. Today, the MSCI has cut its weightage and announced a reduction in the amount of freely tradable shares of Adani Total Gas, Adani Transmission and ACC. This is effective the 28th of February. Separately, ratings firm Moody's has changed its outlook on 4 Adani companies to negative from stable and maintained the stable outlook on 4 other companies. Also, according to a Reuters report, India's market regulator SEBI is investigating the group's links to some of the investors in the conglomerate's aborted $2.5 billion share sale. And in another development, the Supreme Court today red flagged the loss of lakhs of crores of investor wealth in the Adani stock crash. The court was hearing a plea that sought an investigation into the Hindenburg report on Adani. Ashmit Kumar is standing by with the details. Ashmit, take us through what transpired in court, what were the observations, and what can we expect next?
Well, the first hearing today in the Adani Hindenburg case that was filed before the Apex Court, and interesting observations, comments coming in from none other than the Chief Justice himself, Justice Chandrachud. There are 4 key takeaways. Number 1, Justice Chandrachud at the very outset observed that he understands that the stock markets very often are guided by sentiments, and therefore the Supreme Court does not want to spook the markets and will be very guarded in issuing any comments or suggestions, especially with respect to the conduct of the market regulator. That's one. The second key takeaway here is Justice Chandrachud observed that the guiding force as far as the Apex Court is concerned will be investor wealth erosion. That's the biggest concern that they expressed. He went on to say that reports indicate that lakhs of crores of rupees have been wiped out, that the middle class that has exposure to the stock market has suffered, that there is a need felt for protection of investor wealth and investor interests. And towards that end, and that's the third key takeaway, suggestions and questions were put forth before the market regulator. Justice Chandrachud asked if the current framework framework is sufficient, went on to suggest that perhaps an expert panel is needed to strengthen this current framework, and even went on to suggest that the nodal ministry, the finance ministry, should work together with the market regulator to strengthen the current framework in place. This was the third key takeaway. And the fourth is, and very important here, the Supreme Court adding a caveat as a part of its order that none of its comments should be construed as perhaps a reflection on the conduct of the SEBI, of the market regulator. And speaking of SEBI, Solicitor General was present in court appearing for SEBI. He said that SEBI is on top of the situation, is in fact seized of the issue, and will answer all questions that fall from the apex court. And speaking of answering those questions, SEBI will have to burn the midnight oil, will have to work through the weekend, because the apex court has sought answers by Monday, and that's when the hearing will resume in this case.
Ashwat, many thanks for joining us. We will now have to see what the SEBI says in court on Monday. Now, LIC Chairman M.R. Kumar told CNBC-TV18 that they are not thinking of investing any further in Adani Enterprises and expect to meet the management to know what has caused the stock collapse. In a conversation with my colleague Yash Jain, Kumar said that LIC has been investing correctly and fairly. He also assured policyholders and shareholders that they need not worry. Kumar said whatever needs to be done will be done.
The total investments in the entire Adani group are at AUM. A part of AUM is less than 1%. It's 0.975%. So there is hardly anything. So we need not worry about that. I can assure people that we are taking care of whatever needs to be done will be done. We have to take it as it comes. I mean, this is too short a period to take a call on whether I have to take a call. In this particular case, I think we will be sitting down and working out some more time. I mean, wait some more time and see what happens.
You also committed 300 crore as far as the FPO is concerned under anchor investors. Today, that same stock, the same value that you saw in the stock is available at 40% cheaper as far as open market is concerned. Does it not make sense to you, to your investment team, to actually go out and invest that 300 crore or more in buying the stock from open market now, since you were interested earlier?
That's a very leading question. So, I mean, stock specific, I cannot take a call. I mean, again, as you said, it's the investment department to decide what we need to do. But as of now, we are not thinking of doing anything. The assessment to buy or to sell keeps happening, keeps changing. So as of now, I mean, I see the markets are quite okay. I mean, for us, the markets are always good, whether they are down or up. We have reached out to them already. We have not met so far. We'll be meeting shortly. And I mean, I can't tell you what the questions we have in mind, but then the questions that most investors have in mind, and why this market collapse has happened is one of the things that we would like to know from them.
Well, that is M.R. Kumar of LIC on their investment in the Adani Group. Now, India's industrial output for December reporting a growth of 4.3%. This is in line with the CNBC-TV18 poll, but slower than the 7% growth rate clocked in November. Manufacturing grew at over 2% in December compared to more than 6% growth in the previous month. However, mining and electricity production for the period rose at around 10% for the second consecutive month, boosted by a low base. Earnings. Mahindra & Mahindra posting a steady quarter powered by good operational performance, revenue, EBITDA and margins all beat expectations. However, net profit missed street estimates owing to an exceptional loss of 269 crore rupees. Here's the management.
So if you look at the Mahindra Trucks and Buses, it's a division within M&M. And I think as we have been looking and evaluating the business, and if you go back, I think we had put it in a category where it has to be carefully examined. I think the upswing is there, but when we took a call on the fair valuation of the business in terms of the carrying value of the assets, I think that's where we have taken a correction, one-time correction, which is the main reason for the exceptional loss.
That's the M&M management on their earnings. Prime Minister Modi kickstarting the three-day UP Global Investor Summit. The Prime Minister made a pitch for UP to corporate leaders. Mukesh Ambani and Chandra, KM Birla were all present at the summit, announced their investment plans. Gautam Adani, who's been part of the previous editions of the summit, was not in attendance this time.
एक तरफ डबल इंजन सरकार का इरादा और दूसरी तरफ संभावनाओं से भरा उत्तर प्रदेश, इससे बेहतर पार्टनरशिप हो ही नहीं सकती.
Jio will complete its rollout of 5G to cover every town and village in this state by December of 2023. That is in 10 months from today. I am happy to announce that we plan to invest an additional 75,000 crores in UP over the next 4 years.
I'm happy to say that we are going to build an integrated multimodal air cargo through Air India sets with our partner Zurich Airport in the new Jawahar Airport.
Well, corporate leaders there at the UP Investor Summit. The government is mulling handing over the probe into the abuse of FAME subsidies to an investigating agency. Sources say legal opinion has been sought on how to proceed with the probe on alleged misappropriation of subsidies. Parikshit is standing by with more details. Parikshit, the government was already probing this matter. What exactly is it attempting to do now?
Well, the government is now thinking of handing over this probe to an investigating agency. A legal opinion in this matter is likely to be sought from the Attorney General, and a view on this could be taken very soon. The government has been carrying out an internal probe against at least 12 EV firms against whom complaints had been received for misappropriation of FAME subsidies. The complainant had alleged that all these companies, including Hero Electric, Okinawa, Pure EV, all these companies have availed of FAME subsidies based on wrong localization data, and they've flouted the phased manufacturing program as well. So for Hero Electric and Okinawa, the subsidies have already been suspended. The subsidies for other 10 companies are on hold currently, and we get to know from our sources that subsidies to the tune of 750 crores are on hold at this juncture. So let's see what happens in the days to come. In a separate complaint, the DHI is also looking at the possibility of companies like Ather, like Ola Electric, Hero Motocorp and TVS selling their scooters at prices more than 1.5 lakhs. We all know that the FAME subsidy for electric two-wheelers is for scooters up to 1.5 lakhs. And there is a complaint that these companies are availing of subsidies but are selling scooters at higher prices. So the ARAI is looking into this matter and seeking clarifications from those companies as well.
Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Now, the Union Mines Ministry has announced a large discovery of lithium in Jammu and Kashmir. The rare earth mineral is essential for manufacturing electric vehicles and batteries in particular. At 5.9 million tons, this is India's first major discovery of lithium reserves. Sonal joins us now to explain the significance. Sonal, this is a big find.
Well, it is definitely an important step for a couple of reasons. The first one being that it is the first time that the government has been able to discover lithium reserves in the country. And second of all, the amount is not small, 5.9 million tons being discovered in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, why is this amount really important? It is because it actually can compete with the global average. If you look at the numbers, Chile has the highest reserves, lithium reserves in the world at 9.2 million tons, which is followed by Australia at 5.7 million. We have China at 1.5 million. There's Brazil at 95,000 and Portugal at 66,000. Now, definitely it's a competitive amount that has been discovered here. And lithium is an important mineral because it is used in lithium-ion batteries, which are ultimately used in electric vehicles. And so far, India has largely been importing these important minerals, which are used in EVs, the likes of cobalt, nickel, and lithium. So it could be a step towards self-sufficiency as well. But of course, a lot depends on how much of it is actually discovered and refined as well, because that is what the value chain looks like. After that, it goes for refining, cell production, then module assembly, and that is when it goes into the OEM. So of course, a lot of steps have to be covered here right now, but it is an important update that we have received. India has a target to expand their EV penetration by 30% by 2030. Right now, it's only at 1%. So if, of course, we get self-sufficiency as far as lithium mining is concerned, it could be an important step when it comes to this push that we are seeing towards electric vehicles.
Sonal, many thanks for joining us. Now, the upcoming GST Council meeting on the 18th of this month is likely to take up the issue of keeping cement in the highest 28% tax slab or moving it to a lower slab. The Council may also discuss the report on appellate tribunals and taxing online games, race courses and casinos. Here's the CBIC Chairman Vivek Jory.
GST Council या परिषद की बैठक 18 फरवरी के लिए निश्चित है. एजेंडा अभी सर्कुलेट होगा. जहाँ तक फिटमेंट की बात है, जी हाँ, वित्त मंत्री ने यह वक्तव्य दिया था कि सीमेंट पर 28% की दर से जो अभी जीएसटी लगता है, उसका उसके बारे में विचार करने के लिए फिटमेंट कमेटी बैठेगी.
So the GST Council meeting on the 18th of February. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. In what comes as relief for some digital lenders, the government has issued orders to revoke their ban. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the IT Ministry has sent a list of company names to be removed from the ban list to Google and internet service providers. Ritu joins us now with the details. Ritu, what are your sources telling you? Relief for some fintechs?
That's right. We do understand from our sources that the government, or more specifically the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, has started issuing orders revoking the ban on certain digital lending companies which were originally featured on the ban list. Now, we have been given to understand that the government has already reached out to Google and to internet service providers, asking them to revoke the ban on certain companies, which includes the like of Kisht and others, which were featured on the list of 94 companies to be banned earlier. Now, this decision comes after a review meeting was held with some of these fintech players. We reported earlier that at least a dozen of them had gone to the government making representations seeking the removal of this ban, and in support they had submitted several documents with the government as well, which included their certificate of registration, their investors, shareholding patterns of their companies, the grievance redressal mechanism, among other documents. And once the government was satisfied of their legitimacy, it has started to issue these orders to Google and to internet service providers to revoke the ban on some of these companies, bringing a huge relief to the startup ecosystem, really.
It certainly will be. Ritu, many thanks for joining us. Time for us to head into a break, but up next, the Central Drug Regulator issues show-cause notices to 20 online pharmacies for allegedly selling medicines without prescriptions. That and more when we return. The death toll due to Monday's devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria now crossing 21,000. Turkey has reportedly experienced at least 1,500 aftershocks since Monday. Rescue operations continue as hopes of finding survivors under the rubble fade. Rescuers successfully pulled out a woman who has been trapped for more than 100 hours after the quake in Turkey's Kirikan. In Hatay, a video showed an 8-year-old girl and her father being rescued after over 100 hours. Meanwhile, in Syria, a man who lost his wife and daughter in the quake returned with his toddler son after 4 days. The White Helmets Response Group in Syria has called the United Nations response as catastrophic. They said rebel-held areas have received no aid from the UN. Back home, the Central Drug Regulator has issued show-cause notices to over 20 online pharmacies on the 8th of February for allegedly selling medicines which are not permitted for sale without a prescription. Timsy joins us now with more. Timsy, take us through the action that is being taken.
Well, that's right. What sources are telling CNBC-TV18 is that the Central Drug Regulatory Authority, under the aegis of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, has sent over 20 online pharmacies and platforms a show-cause notice, which was issued on 8th of February. And this show-cause notice actually alleges violations of Section 18C, Rule 62, 64, and 65 of Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. These pharmacies have been given time of 2 days to respond immediately or face further action, a strict action without any further notice. Also, the allegations that have been leveled by CDS CEO include that the online pharmacies and platforms are selling drugs which are not permitted for sale in retail without proper prescription of registered doctor and medical practitioner. Sales could lead to serious impact on health of the patient. Also, misuse of public health in case of self-medication. The show-cause notice has gone to many of these platforms, and some of these include Amazon, Flipkart, Tata 1mg, HealthCart, Practo, Z-Labs, NetMeds, Apollo, etc. Let's see what these companies have to say, because tonight is the deadline to respond to the show-cause notice.
Timsy, many thanks for joining us. Time now for all the startup headlines. Arundhati is standing by with the details. Aru.
Thanks so much for that, Shireen. Here's a quick look at what's happening in the startup world. Alibaba has sold its remaining 3.1% stake worth 1,000 crore rupees in Paytm via a block deal. This completes Alibaba's exit from India. Alibaba earlier sold its investments in BigBasket and Zomato. TikTok shuts down all of its offices in India almost 3 years after being banned. The company has fired its entire staff in India, and as many as 40 people were given pink slips. We have taken the decision to close our India remote sales support hub. We greatly appreciate those employees and their impact on our company and will ensure they are supported at the difficult time, a TikTok India spokesperson told CNBC-TV18. Now, Yahoo plans to lay off over 20% of its total workforce as part of a major restructuring of its ad tech division. The cuts will impact nearly 50% of Yahoo's ad tech employees by the end of this year, including nearly 1,000 employees just this week. Now, Microsoft-owned GitHub is laying off up to 10% of its workforce and closing all of its offices, including its headquarters in San Francisco. According to TechCrunch, GitHub will also continue its hiring freeze and make a number of other internal changes to protect the short-term health of its business. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates believes ChatGPT is as significant as the invention of the internet. In an interview to German business daily Handelsblatt, Gates said, and I quote, "The new programs like ChatGPT will make many office jobs more efficient by helping to write invoices or letters. This will change our world." With that, it is back to you.
Arundhati, many thanks for joining us. A quick check of some of the other headlines we're tracking. The Supreme Court will soon get to its full strength of 34 judges. The government cleared the elevation of 2 more High Court judges, Rajesh Bindal and Arvind Kumar, the Chief Justices of the Allahabad and Gujarat High Courts, respectively. The Supreme Court dismissed a request asking for a complete ban on BBC in India. A petition filed by Hindu Sena was rejected, with the Supreme Court calling it absolutely misconceived and asked how can a documentary affect the entire nation. No new tax, interest-free loans for farmers, free electricity to 100 units, free scooties for meritorious girl students. The Rajasthan government presents its last budget before the state elections, but a faux pas by Chief Minister Gehlot, who started reading from last year's budget speech, sparks a ruckus in the assembly. Opposition leaders in the Rajasthan assembly alleged that the state budget was leaked.
मैंने तो जैसे ही रोका मैं पढ़ते हुए स्पीच को उस वक्त में सॉरी मतलब क्योंकि बजट पढ़ रहा और रोकना पड़ रहा है तो उसको लेके बात का बतंगड़ बनाया गया बिना मतलब और इनकी दिल्ली में जो है बीजेपी वाले वो मैंने सुना वही लग गए पैर से बात करने के लिए इनके हाईकमान वाले लोग ये तो इनकी स्थिति है इनको मालूम था कि बजट शानदार आएगा
राजस्थान नहीं राजस्थान में गड़बड़ है भैया पिछले साल के बजट इस साल पड़ रहे हैं सर मैं ये भी कंसीड करने के लिए तैयार हूं गलती हो सकता है किसी का भी भगवान की कृपा रहे कभी भी किसी का भी वो हालत होना नहीं चाहिए कि पिछले बजट इस साल पड़ रहे हैं आई प्रे टू गॉड ऑनेस्टली गलती किसी का भी हो सकता है आई प्रे टू गॉड नोबडी शुड बी एबल टू बी इन दैट पोजीशन
In less than 24 hours, India is going to witness the very first all-electric racing series Formula E in the streets of Hyderabad. Shoini Dutt caught up with Alberto Longo, co-founded Chief Championship Officer of ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, before the race buzz off tomorrow.
I have to say that this is going to be a massive success tomorrow. We're going to have more than 25,000 people. This is going to be broadcasted for more than 165 countries in the world. And hopefully more than 50 million people will be watching the racing from home, you know, but they will be having a look at this beautiful city of Hyderabad.
Well, it's Formula E in Hyderabad. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned. The news continues here on CNBC-TV18. Have a great weekend, and don't forget to tune in. We will have the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das at noon on Saturday, right here on CNBC-TV18.